Welcome to another video. In this video, we will see how we can automate the generation of pairing metrics for a project. Before we start, let's discuss a bit about pairing metrics first and how it can help your project. Pairing metrics generally comes into picture when you follow pair programming in your project. For a small team, we might not need it, but for bigger teams, it really comes in handy when you want to switch pairs. Generally, you would want to track how many times two people have pair worked together and who haven't worked much in pair. But maintaining this matrix on a whiteboard or something like this, it's not very scalable and you have to do a lot of maintenance as well. Every day when you sign up, you have to update this matrix manually, and generally we do it on a whiteboard. But there is a way by which we can automate this matrix and you don't have to do this manual work at all. And that is why I have created this Ruby gem called pairing matrix, which can read your git commits, commit messages that you do, and generate a pairing matrix based on that. So let's dive in. Before I give you the details of this pairing matrix gem, let's see what kind of matrix it can generate. So this is a sample pairing metric that's generated using this pairing matrix gem. Basically, behind the scenes, you have a configuration file where you have mentioned what all repos you have, and then this pairing matrix gem reads the git commits of that repo and then generates this matrix for you. On the left hand side, you will see all the developers who are working on those repos, and on the right hand side, you will see who is pairing with whom. Let's also discuss about how to read this matrix. So basically, you will see all the developers in this matrix, and then these lines that you see, the red lines, if the line is darker, the two people have worked together for a longer period of time. But if the line is not it's thin, then you can say they haven't worked much together. And you will see all the connections from one developer to another, whoever they have paired with. So this is how you generally read this matrix. And also there are times when developer work alone, they do not do pairing. Then you will see a red circle on that developer's name. And yes, you can choose the time range for this pairing matrix. You can choose it for last 2 weeks, last 2 months, or 6 months, whatever range you want. You just specify the days here and you can visualize the matrix. Now let's go to the pairing matrix Ruby gem and how it works. So basically, for it to read your Git messages, you have to follow a particular message format. Something like you can have developer names in your commit message and then your actual commit message that you did. So generally we work on tickets or stories. So you have story number, then the developer name separated by slash, and then your commit message, whatever you did as part of that commit. And you provide this information in a YAML file. You tell the pairing matrix gem that this is the regex that you can use to extract out the names of the developers and where your repos are hosted. If you are using GitHub, you can use GitHub configuration. Similarly, if you have it on GitLab, you can use GitLab configuration. And also it provides you support for the local repos. So if you have the repos in your local repository in the local machine, you can use that as well. So how would you test that your author regex works fine? So one way to do that is you use the Ruby console IRP, and you give your commit message and then scan it using the regex that you have provided in the YAML file. And if that returns you this kind of output where you see the pair name, that is what is really required. Once that works, then your regex is good to go. Now let's look at how we can configure it ourselves and how we can install this pairing matrix gem in your local machine. So let's go to, so this one is already running because I have already installed it. But what you can do is gem install pairing matrix is all you need to write. And when you hit enter, it will install the pairing matrix Ruby gem on your machine. Once you have this pairing matrix Ruby gem installed, you need to provide it a pairing matrix.yaml file. And in this YAML file, we have the configuration that we just saw in the README file. We have the author regex. Then you can provide three kind of configuration. One is your local repository. Second, repo on the GitHub. And third is GitLab. Bitbucket is not supported right now, but I'll be adding support for it in coming days. So now let's just see how the local configuration behaves. I can comment out this one, and let me start the pairing matrix gem. So how this works is it has a Sinatra web server, and that looks for pairing matrix.yaml file in the current repository. If that is present, it will pick that up and it will use that configuration to generate the matrix. But if you have some other name, then you can provide the path of the configuration as well. That also works. Since we have the same name, let's start the pairing matrix. It will read the YAML file and start the server on 4567 port. Now let's go to our browser and let's see how this looks. So we have three developers, local dev 1, local dev 2 and local dev 3. And as we can see, dev 2 has paired with both dev 1 and dev 3, but dev 1 has only worked with dev 2, or dev 3 has only worked with dev 2. Right? And you can also, if you are interested in just one of the developers, you can choose from here and see who all they have paired with. And if you want to have all of them, just select all of them. Now let's also look at how we can use GitHub configuration. Before we move there, let me show you how the commit messages are there for this local repository. So this is how the commit messages are written. We have local dev 1 working alone as well, and that's why you should see a red circle around it. And as you can notice, it's a small circle, but yes, it's there. There's a red circle around it. And then we have pairing as well. Like dev 2 has paired with dev 3 and dev 1 as well, and that's why you see this kind of matrix. Now let's jump on to GitHub. So let me uncomment this configuration and totally comment out this one. You can do mix and match as well. You can give all the three configuration and it will pick that up. But just to see that GitHub one works, let's use GitHub. When you provide GitHub configuration, you have to provide the URL. So if you are using GitHub Cloud, then you would be using the default URL. But if you have GitHub Enterprise, then you might have your custom GitHub URL, API URL that you need to provide here. Second, you need to provide the access token. And third, you need to provide all the repositories. You can provide multiple repositories and it will pick it from all of them. For now, we'll just have one repository. Let's save this and start our server again. I've started the server. Let's see how it looks. Yeah. So we have 4 developers and we can see who is pairing with whom. We have, so we can again we can look at individual developers and also the overall metrics. And yes, Dev2 has worked alone as well a lot. And then you can look at individual developers. And let's also take a look at the commit messages that we have on GitHub repo. So these are the messages that you can see. So it's reading the data from here and building this matrix for us. Similarly, you can use GitLab. Let's do that as well. Let's uncomment GitLab, save it. Again, the similar configuration, you need to provide the URL of the API for GitLab. This is the default one, but if you have enterprise one, you might have different. Then the access token and the repositories. And once you provide this, you can start the pairing matrix again, and you should be able to see your GitLab developers. So we have 4 GitLab developers, and you can see the metrics for them. And we can also, as I mentioned, mix and match. We can have all 3 configuration at once, and we'll see metrics from all of them. Let me start the pairing matrix, and you should see all the 3 right now. Yes, so we see our local developers, we see GitHub our developers, and then we also see GitLab. And this is how this matrix works. Now this is not real project data, and that's why you might see might not find it very useful. But when you use it with a real project, you will really see the value. You could observe here who are pairing a lot and who are pairing less, and you can also see who are the people who haven't paired at all till now, and you might want to switch pairs and work with those people. So this is how pairing matrix works. Currently, we do not have support for Bitbucket, but yes, I'll be adding that soon. Uh, so that is it. I hope you found this video helpful, and do let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You can find all the related links in the description. Till then, thank you and happy coding.